Recording excerpted.
Well, there's some out there in the hallway. What happened to this? There's some extra chairs that we're looking for. They're going to log me the email.
Matt and I talked about it.
Yeah, I got
Line copy.
Probably didn't change the battery.
Pass these back over.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Where do we go away?
The ambulance building. Okay. Rush burning. My brother was All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get going. It's Monday, April 15th. This is Greenland Board of Selectmen's meeting. Roll call from my right.
Steve Smith.
Justin DeRocky.
Rick Huzzy.
Jim Ralston. Chip Huzzy. For the record, the meeting's being recorded, and we do have a quorum. First on the agenda, we're going to move some stuff around. We've got ambulance billing.
They've been working off with a new company, trying to get increase of ambulance billing. I believe there's a sheet been sent around this evening. The ambulance billing we're doing now is Comstar. We're getting charged 5.5%, which got dropped down. The contract says we were getting charged 7%. But within the Seacoast Chiefs, there was complaints and how much we were really doing with them, so we got it down to 5.5%. This new company is at 7%, but they're more aggressive on their billing, and they're also more aggressive on their collection. They take care of all the billing. They take it off the run sheets, and they take if we give oxygen or we give different kind of meds. He's billing it all. That's why we're missing out on a lot of this. So at this point, Comstar, if we decide to change, we got to give them a 60-day notice, and to go with this other company. This gentleman, he's not a big company. He's doing Vermont and New Hampshire at this point.
What are we looking at for a dollar figure for the billing that we're missing out on? Do you know?
Dollar figure, it's going to be another 1.5%, but hopefully we're going to have an increase of revenue.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm looking at the revenue stream itself from what you're saying.
I could only assume it could be 10-20%, but I can't guarantee that. It's tough to guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Chair, if I might also add, one thing I took away from that meeting that we had with Captain Hanley and Chief Cresta and MBS was that it would also result in a lot of labor savings to the town. There's currently a lot of administrative reports that Comstar is not helping the town with that MBS said that they could generate, resulting in labor savings in data entry.
And that's another issue. If any of our guys put data entry in the wrong way, we're losing there also. So
2%, we're getting a lot more for the dollar. For that
well, it's 1.5.
1.5. Excuse me.
Yeah, 1.5%.
So I'll make a motion. I move to approve the change in ambulance companies from Comstar to Medical Business Services LLC effective immediately.
Second?
I'll second. Second. Okay.
Any more discussion?
Yeah, I have a question, Ralph. Could you tell me what the total amount of the figure is that we're charging a 1.5% difference? Is that on 100,000 or 50,000?
That's on, right now it's over 100,000, but hopefully we're gonna get it up to, I'd like to see it at 150. Increase.
And you feel that MBS?
We're missing a lot of the billing and how it's worded in the paperwork. And also, we're not a forced bill right now, and we're going to go into a little more of a forced bill, more outside of the residency, on people from moving from the truck stop to the hospital. We're going to do more chasing of that, and they're able to do more chasing of that because they have other connections outside of the states.
So we're basically talking $1,500, and you think that there'll be more than that as far as the benefit?
Yes, about coming in, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
We were looking to start like July 1st. Because it's 60 days to let it go, and we finish this month up and put the notice in.
Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Still got it.
Is that a contract, Ralph, or is that like a year to year?
It's a contract you can get out of in 60 days, no matter what company you go with.
Okay, next in line is burning brush at the transfer station.
Okay, we had the forest warden come down a week ago. He gave us a bunch of for instances, and I think you guys have it, you gentlemen have it here. The biggest thing is we got to be 50 feet from the edge of the burn pile of nothing around, and we got another 8-foot section. He did recommend, if we're going to do any burning, maybe try to get a road up to the top of that berm.
There is one there. It may not be open yet.
Yeah. The only problem I feel we're going to have.
Where you dumping the dirt when you dig the grave?
I don't. That you ain't gonna get a fire truck down there.
No, we're talking about getting people up there.
Yeah, but we gotta have a fire truck.
Right.
By, so we won't get a truck down there in case of an emergency.
The other thing, we haven't burnt since they've been burning the brush since Bramble Valley come in. I really feel we're going to have a problem with all the smoke going into Bramble Valley or whatever ways the wind's going. If everybody remembers right, we always had a smoky condition in the town when we decided to do this when it was at the end of the burn.
And one of the problems where we were burning probably once every 2 months rather large piles, what we're looking to do is to burn more frequently as weather permits. The chipping bill is running up, approaching $10,000 a year. That's what we're trying to cut.
Did we spend $3,000 last year?
In 2018, it was $9,710 expended. Since 2012, the town has spent $27,530 chipping brush.
The big thing is we're not burning during the summer months. We're only burning when it's cold. That way we don't have to worry about the complaints of smoke. Small, and that's the big question. We're still trying to figure out how do we keep my small may be different than your small. So what do we do to keep the brush pile so they know we're going to? So right now there won't be any even attempt at burning till probably when it hits again.
Well, the other recommendation, we have to have a water supply there when we do burn, no matter what we burn, because there is no water supply up there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the permit's got to come from myself, and also it's got to come from the state.
Yeah.
The pile we have right now, we cannot burn because we got stuff over 4 inches in there.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stumps and.
Not stumps, but big size stuff. We can't burn over 4 inches.
If you separate that, I notice it disappears from the dump mongers. They go in there and they pick it up for their little campfires.
If you get to it, I mean, it's all through that pile right at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that wouldn't be where I'd burn it anyway.
But my concerns are, small pile or big pile, we're going to have trouble with the smoke as far as I'm concerned. Both places in the center of town and also in Bramble Valley. And remember, we have the people who are over 50 and older in that community there. That's one of my concerns.
Anybody got any questions?
Has that ever gone out to bid, out the contract? Or is it just, is it a contracted deal, or has it gone out?
You mean the chipping?
Yeah.
Not that, no.
Well,
What was the question, Chess?
has it ever gone out to bid? Has anybody ever else bid on doing that work? That maybe we can
We've
get
had
a
it
cheaper
done.
deal?
We used to be able to have it done for free
Right.
for the chips, but there's
Right,
so
so-
much.
Right, so has it ever gone out to bid?
Twice, I believe.
All right. So, I mean, is this something, if we can't burn because of smoke, we can't burn because of smoke.
Oh, Town of Ryde, how do they get rid of their, they chip it, obviously.
They
But
chip it.
what do? They charge people to bring it in?
They do their own chipping every.
Yeah, but, residents.
No,
they
residents
charge
don't
them?
pay.
No?
No. They have their own chip, they chip it every week, put it into a pile, and the residents are allowed to take what they want.
No commercial stuff goes into Rye at all, unless it's a road.
I will add that contractors are charged, I believe, $25 a truckload currently, and residents in Greenland are not charged. One way to reduce chip and brush, maybe to charge residents an equal charge as you're currently charging contractors, if the goal is to reduce the brush. One other option is to purchase a chipper and train somebody to operate it.
That gets
Another
expensive
option.
though.
A new chip, yeah, even a used chipper could run 15 to 20,000.
And then after a while, the blades get worn out, and that's expensive, right, Paul?
Not easy to change either.
No, they're not.
Do these bills include trucking it out of there once it's chipped? Or is there an additional bill?
No, that's included in the
included in
trucking.
this?
Yeah.
Grind, brush, and dumping, grinding. Contract labor, equipment.
Is there any way we can probably go out and see if we can get a set amount, no matter how much we have, for one day? Because it only takes one day, is that correct?
Right.
Instead of having them come in 2 or 3 times and just give us one price so we can budget that one.
Yeah, I mean, we can relook at, there's no
Most of
contract
the-
written.
most of the
We can relook at how we do this. If burning's not gonna be an option, then I think the next thing is to try to get the cost down. The brush isn't gonna stop.
No,
The brush is gonna keep coming, so. And the town, we need a place to put it.
Everybody that came out to bid on it was just a one-day price, getting the equipment there, doing the work, and hauling it off.
Okay.
So it wasn't by the hour or whatever, it was a one-day price, and because we're not big enough where they know they could do it in one day.
Yeah, okay. So,
how many times did we do it last year? You know that?
It doesn't say here.
It's probably once.
I thought it was just once last year, right before the.
We spent $10,000.
Well, to jive it. That's what opened my eyes.
well, one.
Sure is, I thought it was 3,000.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 3,000 a day.
There was 2 different bills here, one for April 30th, which is $4,260, and there's a bill for December 23rd, which is $5,450. So that's 2 bills for last year.
If we got that cut in half, I think I feel that's probably the way to go. If we can get somebody to do it in one time and one time only.
Well, we can't guarantee a one-time thing because you have an ice storm or something like that, it comes in really fast, we've had a lot of wind. I mean, the brush has tripled in the last 2 weeks. It's that time of year.
Well, we should be able to kind of schedule that. You know, springtime is, spring and fall is a lot of.
Well, that's, we hope, we just try to get it one time at the right before the snow flies, that's our goal.
Yeah, well, keep the pile down and keep the cost down, that's the goal. That's my goal. So what are we gonna do here?
Should we charge residents?
Are we gonna burn or not?
We're gonna check around,
That's
see
the
what we're
question.
gonna
I
do.
mean,
Nothing's gonna burn this summer.
yeah, but, something like, $25 is for commercial. So residents are gonna come in with smaller amounts anyway.
What about getting rid of commercials? Period.
We,
Prohibit it all, don't let them come in and don't charge them, and it's just residents.
There is other places in
Get the brush down.
this area that takes commercial brush.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I don't
How many
think
loads do
we
we-
get 10 a year on commercial. It's very rarely.
We should be able to find that out, right? We should be able
Well,
to check
the receipts,
the
yeah.
receipts.
It's very few.
I mean, well, it's one way of cutting costs.
Yeah.
So if anybody else has any other ideas, I'd love to hear.
Anything else? Very good. Moving right along. Glenn Page, Dearborn Road paving, you have some questions for us.
Yes. One page, I live at 269 Dearborn Road, formerly 7 Great Bay Drive. Most of us will get you that live down in that area. As all of you know, the old Great Bay Drive West is currently being repaired, putting a culvert in, resurfacing the road. Everybody that lives on the old Great Bay Drive, east and west, and into Osprey and Compton Drive, where Jim lives, comes out and uses the old Great Bay Drive, which is from the railroad tracks. And Chester knows where that is, right to the end. It's about 350 feet. And my contention is that we have equipment, we have material already on Great Bay Drive West. It would be economically feasible for the town, while all that equipment and material is there, to repave, resurface, or put an overlay on the old Great Bay Drive, which is about 350 feet. Not very wide, but it's in terrible condition. Is everybody here can attest to it? Question.
I can attest to that for sure.
I think probably Jim can too.
I think, in my opinion, that little stretch of road kind of fell in the cracks.
Yeah.
No period. Had it been, yeah, no pun intended. Had it been named Dearborn Road last year or 2 years ago, whenever it got done, it probably would have been done right to the end.
Right.
So, I mean, we talked about it when we were looking at the trees. How do we get this done? At least overlaid, because it's.
Well, I'll contact Lyman's. They contract the pavement, not the town. It's part of their job
Yeah.
to see if they can get us a price while they're there to what our cost would be.
All right.
That would be at this point.
That's the best way to do it. But
Right.
if not, it needs to be done anyway.
Because I don't even know who they use for paving. That's up to them. So Lyman would be the only one I could get that information of, and give them can measure the road, give him that number and see what he gives us for a price while he's down there.
Absolutely. Take it from there. Sure.
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
David Wallowitz, now 100 Borders Edge, formerly 50 Great Bay Drive West. So just for history, the Great Bay Drive East got repaved at no cost to the town due to we call it the miracle of the repaving. As you may or may not know, they gifted the paving to the town one day with no notice, and there's a whole trail of paper with it I got when I did the Freedom of Information request about that, which was interesting, but nonetheless free. When our culvert washed out, you guys, thankfully, we appreciate it, appropriated funds for emergency repair. And I was informed by Karen that you got that reimbursed from FEMA that on an emergency grant. I was also informed that you got another grant for Great Bay Drive West. So, Water's Edge. While I do understand there's cost, and we deeply appreciate the fact that it's being fixed and repaired, there's a fair amount of money that was not expended or that was recouped, despite, in addition to what was budgeted. So I'm hoping that the 350 feet can somehow be included. The only other thing I wanted to say is that the upside of the fixing it is that it'll be a better road. The downside is that people drive over, especially over that particular section, some people drive unsafely. And signage would be really helpful. And there's actually a dead end sign on our street that's currently knocked over And if it could be brought up further, so because people, once you don't see the dead end sign until you turn, so then it's a little late. So that might help, but right when people cross the tracks, and there are people who don't even slow down across the tracks, more signage in that area, because there's children there, and I worry about it. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, one more thing to add to what David has said. I've lived down on that stretch of road for 10 years, and I've been coming down here for almost 20 years. And I've never seen a street sign for Great Bay Drive, period. And we don't have a street sign for Dearborn now. So when you cross, you don't know that you're on Dearborn Road still. There's no sign at the far end of, what is that, Water's Edge?
It says Water's Edge.
Water's Edge. There's a Water's Edge sign, but no Dearborn sign. Right. So if you're coming from the other direction, you don't know what road you're going on. And if you have a GPS, it's going to tell you that you're on Great Bay Drive.
We appreciate that. We get your dog food delivered to us.
Well, I get everybody else's mail and packages too, so. That was the first thing. The second thing I wanted to mention is, so we can have a sign, just to finish that, we can have a street sign put at Water's Edge. That would help people to understand that's Dearborn Road. And the second thing I want to mention in terms of the paving is, you mentioned the old Great Bay Drive East had been paved. Now we're doing Great Bay Drive West. Orchard Hill has been done last couple of years. Tidewater's been done. Dearborn was done a couple of years ago. The only stretch that hasn't been done is that old Great Bay Drive and Common Drive. And I'm not sure that needs to be done, but
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So that would be the only small stretch within probably a couple mile radius that will not have been done by the town. I would hope that you would consider taking that up when you're paving that section of Water's Edge.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else?
Just answered some of it.
What?
No, the gentleman over there answered some of my questions on the signage.
Anything, even putting the down sign back up would be nice, but I do worry about those children. I know, Chester, you see people, there's kids there.
Chip, can I ask one question to Paul?
Sure.
Paul, is there a slow children sign down there too?
No.
Okay, everything down there has never been town signage.
Okay.
It was a private road.
All right.
So
Understand.
I cannot go put that, once a new road's up, we can put a new sign up. I can't use that sign because of the new rules on reflectivity, so we gotta replace everything.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just looking, where they're expressing concerns.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Well, basically, we'll take it under advisement, wait till we get some prices, see if we can swing it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next on the agenda, Fire Department received a donation from Sanderlin Marasco of 345 Post Road in the amount of $300. There's no specific purpose. Somebody make a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Wait a second.
Okay, anybody want to speak to this? Move to close public hearing.
Second. I move it.
I'll second. However you want to do it.
Okay, motion?
I move we accept the donation from Sandra Lynn Marasco to the fire department in the amount of $300.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next is approval of minutes of April 1st.
I have one typo, I guess, on the third page in, second paragraph, about 4 lines up. For that season, should be for that reason.
I will move to approve the minutes of Monday, April 1st, 2019 as amended.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. You got the Coakley update.
The town has received a letter from H. Turner Jones III and his wife Wendy Stanley Jones regarding their concerns about the possibility of water being brought out to the Breakfast Hill area. And I've included that letter there. And that's all the other updates.
Anybody else have anything? Moving quickly along. The Weeks Library update. Yes.
You have attached.
Oh, excuse me, did anybody want to ask any questions about that letter? We're here. Well, I know it's in your packets, but did you have any questions?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't. That seemed pretty clear.
Yeah.
Can I just say one thing? You do have a right to either what you want to do. They're not going to force people to, I imagine, get you off your wells.
Actually,
They are?
Yeah.
You don't have an option, so if you...
If the pipe came out there, then people would be required to hook up.
To be hooked up.
If the pipe were extended.
Okay.
And that's the concern of the resident, one of the concerns outlined in the letter.
Okay.
I understand the point. I mean, if you're getting forced to hook up to a pipe that's bringing water in that tests higher than the water coming out of your well, that's crazy.
I have no carcinogens
Right,
in my water.
so I'm sure that
And none of the people in our neighborhood
right,
do.
so your water probably tests cleaner than what's coming out of the pipe from the water. So why would you ever do that? It doesn't make any sense, which makes this whole thing that much more difficult.
That's correct.
I do understand where you're coming from.
You're also going to drop our water pressure. So we currently have about 45 gallons per minute water pressure. And we're going to drop our water pressure to maybe 25 gallons per minute. Is the presentation that you were given in January, which means I'm not really going to have a shower upstairs and anything running downstairs. To put that in perspective.
You're talking pressure is PSIs, correct? Not gallons. Okay, 25 will push it 50 feet.
No, actually, your K Pratt said it was gallons per minute. You didn't say it was PSIs.
If water coming in off a town line would be PSIs, not gallons per minute.
That's not what's in your minutes.
It may be an error that we missed then.
Yeah, it sounds like an error. Any town water system is PSIs, not gallons per minute.
Yeah, you wouldn't notice the gallons per minute really with the shower heads that you have. You would notice the pressure drop.
So all I have is really the minutes, right, from January.
Yeah, it sounds like it was just a misquote.
We may have missed the
Well, it would be hopeful.
initials. Yep,
So it would be hopeful, but the combination of the two. But really, it's the carcinogens, because as I said, our son-in-law grew up on that water, and he now has an aggressive form of rare cancer. So we really aren't interested in the rest of us needing to battle that horrific disease. We've already done it. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Wife.
That won't do it for the record, though.
She sat on the,
I
currently sat, on the commission, hopefully, what is it?
Seacoast Cancer Cluster Commission.
Has been doing it for a year, yeah. And a lot of our neighbors, we're down at Where are we? Quick.
Falls Way?
Falls Way, yeah, thank you. A lot of our neighbors wanted to sit on that same board, and we brought those names forward a number of times. And I think Wendy talked to Matthew about it. We have you all as selectmen can appoint someone to that board.
If there's a vacancy, we can appoint them. I'm not sure. Is there a vacancy?
Yes,
There
there
is,
is.
yeah, we have no one has expressed interest at this time.
Yeah, all we need is a
We've had a
letter.
few names dropped, but nobody has actually applied for that.
We have brought a number of names forward to your predecessor, Karen. Neighbors stopped by and they said, have you heard anything? Have you heard anything? And
We will need a letter
Right.
from them to appoint them.
So,
That would be the next step.
so I did send a letter and a resume to Mr. Scooten. The gentleman available is also a scientist. He's been in California for the past week. He just got home, so he has not been able to fill out the application. And he's just got home, so he's helping at home with his family tonight, not able to attend.
Heard he shot. It's understandable.
So again, we currently don't have any applicants for that.
Yeah, so that all we need would be the application, and that we meet again in 2 weeks.
Okay, cool.
So we meet Wednesday. So again, you'll not be represented from here, from the town.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Moving along, week's library update.
Okay, in your attachment here in your packet, you have amendment number 2 to the Valley Westminster contract. There's letters from Marcia McLaughlin and the library trustees, attorney Derek Durbin. You also may want to reference the 2018 warrant article, which states that it is under the authorization of the Board of Selectmen to accept and expend on behalf of the town any federal, state, or private funds that may become available for any part of the project. There is also reference in the letter to the timely payment of invoices. On review with the bookkeeper, we looked at the invoice dates, and we noticed that there may be some delay in processing due to the timing of when the library trustees meet and the Board of Selectmen, because both boards are currently reviewing and authorizing them. So they're paid in a timely manner after they come to the town, but it's only after the Board of Selectmen has authorized those payments. But that may be part of what the delay is related to in that letter. I also received an update from Attorney Laughlin regarding the SciPri and the proposed order dealing with the charitable trust restrictions related to the library and the draft to petition to quiet title, but the board will need to vote on whether or not to move forward with that. That would go to the Superior Court. I have the documents attached. It would require a motion from the board.
Do I have a motion?
I move to authorize Attorney Laughlin to file the side press proposed order and petition to quiet title with Superior Court.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay. I have a housekeeping matter I want to... Yeah.
I'm Colleen Camacho, Tidewater Farm Road. So I'm just wondering, you mentioned a letter from the library attorney and invoices. Since we in the audience don't have the letter, was there some concern about invoices not being paid in a timely manner, or was there going to be a change to the way invoices are paid or processed, or?
There's, I believe, if I may, a question on the timeliness of the payments, and that's why we looked into it, and we're now stamping those when they come in from the library, so that we're certain that we're processing them in a timely manner, which we are. But the invoices get approved at the trustee level, and then comes here from the library trustees. So there's multiple boards that are approving the invoices, and that's a result of that.
Well, was there a concern that I mean,
The
why was
there
an attorney
was a
involved?
question.
I mean, were we paying invoices that late that someone went to an attorney to?
It was just part of a broader legal perspective on other issues related to the library.
Okay, so if we wanted to see that letter, we can, any of us can get a
It's
copy
public
of that.
record.
Yeah.
You might see if I find it. That's it. Yes.
Chair, question for you.
You want a letter too?
No, sir. I was interested, planning talked about, there's a 2016 letter regarding the library that came from a Mrs. Terry Knowles of the Attorney General's office. Is there an email, is there a possibility of getting a copy of that email? It was a presentation made to the selectmen, is that correct?
Yes, there's a tape of it that started out on traffic.
Traffic lighting?
Well, no.
Fastest way to get it would be to have a date. But we got, yeah, that'd be probably best. We can, contact the office in the morning. If you got a date, that would speed it up, but I'm sure we can come across it.
Is this an open platform?
So it just said, he kept referring to a 2016 letter that came from the Attorney General's office, and it was a Mrs. Terry Knowles regarding the trust on the library property. So that's how it kept referring.
Yeah, just give a call to the office and see if we can't dig that up. Sometimes she can search the records on the computer, the minutes are on the computer, then we'll figure out where that would be.
Okay, thanks.
That'd be the fastest way.
Thanks.
Yeah, under the library, I got a bookkeeping thing I want to straighten out. In the beginning of the library process, money was being spent out of the Library Future Growth Fund that wasn't authorized by the trustees of the library. So I want to do an accounting correction and place $219,289.37 back in that and take that and transfer that from to the technically it's a credit, to the bond money.
I have a question about that. You're saying that wasn't approved by the library, that $219,000 wasn't approved by the library
That's
trustees?
correct.
Because I went through my request for payment out of the trust fund, and those invoices, the architect invoices, went through the library trustees. Denise Grimsby, or I'm sorry if I pronounced her name incorrectly, sent me some of those invoices directly. Marcia McLaughlin was at the Board of Selectmen meeting when those were approved. I didn't see anything in the minutes saying that the library trustees did not approve those invoices. I mean, those invoices went to the library before they came to the Board of Selectmen.
Marcia McLaughlin, 47 Nantucket Place. Each time one of those bills was submitted to the selectmen for consideration for payment, it was specifically written on the invoice that it be paid from the bond.
No, it wasn't. Excuse me, can I get a copy of my invoices?
Colleen, will you let me finish for just a second? These are any requests that were made for payment after the bond monies became due.
I know what you're talking about.
Hey, speak to the board, not to each other. We'll dig through this fast.
If they were not written on the invoice, the specific request was made at the board meeting. We never, as co-agents.
I agree that happened at later meetings. I don't agree that happened from the beginning of the vote.
From the bond monies.
Okay, let's move this along. Do I have a second?
What do we gain from transferring these funds?
What's the purpose anyway?
Why are we doing
The
this?
selectmen improperly took the money from the wrong account.
First of all, the bond wasn't even issued when the first invoices were paid. After
Yeah,
the bond was not issued,
Yeah, but they were not.
could not have been paid from the bond. The bond was not issued when payments were initially made from that capital reserve fund. So how could you pay them from the bond when the bond was not
We
issued?
weren't authorized to pay them from the fund.
So they shouldn't have paid them at all.
They shouldn't-
Ms. McLaughlin was here. How could she have said they should be paid from the bond when the bond wasn't issued? And by the way, you just got a letter saying you weren't paying invoices in a timely manner. So were the selectmen supposed to wait 6 months until the bond was issued to pay invoices?
Okay,
I
go
will
ahead.
address you. I received 2 different documents today. One was from Liz Cummings, which gave me a specific amounts of each of the payments that were made. I have no dates on those. I received a communication from Colleen this afternoon. As far as I can see, I don't remember what day the bond was actually written and approved. If it was the 30th, I don't remember the exact date. If it was prior to the 20th, I just have the numbers here. I
guess what I'm saying is, I want somebody to show me where the trustees authorized the money to come out of that.
This is when those bills are getting paid, correct?
I want them to show, if we took the money improperly, I want somebody to show me that. Yes, Liz?
Every request to the Board of Trustees to receive money to go into the library bank account, what I'm going to call it, was approved by your town administrator.
I'm not accusing the trustees of anything. I'm saying they did what they were told to do.
But you said it was improperly requested. No, it wasn't. It followed the guidelines that I had been given, that every request to the trustees had to be on a particular form and signed by the administrator, which she did. If that was improper, then a process needs to be established. You need to have that if the trustees of the library have to approve it, it has to be the library trustees in a similar manner that you gentlemen approve a manifest.
I would totally agree with you on that.
Right now, it has that responsibility, according to the library minutes, has been transferred to Dale Rockefeller as long as it is within the contract and doesn't meet the budget requirements. I believe that has to be pulled back and made the library trustees. If you are part of it, since it's bond, you have to do it on a manifest. If it is coming out of the capital reserve fund, then it would have to be the same process. The library trustees would have to on something similar to, it doesn't have to be a formal manifest, it can just be the signatures of the library trustees. And then you would have to do the same in that way.
Totally agree.
It will slow down your process. Your process is slow now. It takes anywhere between a week or 2, or even if it misses it by a day, you wait 2 weeks. We had the last invoice came in March. It wasn't paid until April because it missed by a day your last meeting. It's up to you, you gentlemen, decide the things. If you want that money back, that's fine.
Here you go. Well, this is authorization of a payment back in July by, I guess, Dale Rockefeller, authorizing to pay an architect's invoice. No bond was issued in July.
It was in
So
October.
the only place the money could come from was the capital reserve fund. There are several other bills like that in here. You could not have paid invoices from a bond that wasn't issued. And your library trustee authorized payment. So where would you have that money come from if there was no bond?
I am agreeing with Colleen.
Okay. All right, let's
Well, that's a big portion of the $200,000.
Stop for a minute, please. We're going to postpone it so everyone can do their research and have the information so everybody can have it prior to, so we aren't sitting here arguing all night.
Well, you should have done
Well, you should have done that before you made the motion.
Before you made the motion.
John, you didn't run recognized. If you speak, please stand up, be recognized, and you can speak.
John Pedaccio, 86 Tower Water, you should have done that before you made the motion to reverse all the funding, and it was misappropriating your authority.
I disagree.
Well,
Good night. Next, we have,
Excuse me, did you vote?
no,
It died for the lack of a second?
died for lack of a second.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have parking at the library and Parish Hall. I'll note that at the most recent meeting we had on April 1st, the board had asked if we could make that parallel parking, because currently we have a lot of head-in parking and vehicles are in the travel lane as well as overlapping the sidewalk. The board voted to see if we could do that by putting up signs. However, if you look at the letter from Chief Laurent, she had a meeting with the New Hampshire Department of Transportation at the direction of the selectmen on March 4th regarding parking there, and DOT at that meeting stated that any parking, parallel or otherwise, is unsafe at that location. So therefore, the DOT will not be putting up signs saying parallel parking. It appears your only option is for them to put up signs saying no parking at this time, if I'm interpreting that letter correctly, and the chief is here if she's willing to speak more.
Yeah, even the no parking signs, they won't put up unless we go through the process of making an ordinance or expanding our parking ordinance to say it's no parking.
See, this is the problem I have with that. They're telling us we get to expand, but it's their property. We can't enforce stuff on their property, can we?
No, but I'm saying if you want to officially mark it to be able so that I can actually enforce it, then we have to go through the proper channels, which is to make the ordinance that says that there's no parking there. As far as for parking there, yes, it's there, it belongs to the state because it's the right of way, but they try not to interfere too much with the towns. So they say, we think it's unsafe, we don't condone any parking there, we won't paint it or have anything to do with it. But as a town, if you guys just want to wash your hands and say, let people park how they want to, they just are taking themselves off the liability table, kind of thing. So
I know they wouldn't paint it.
If people did.
I know they wouldn't paint it because they did that same thing in the market.
Right, right.
I personally feel that we've had parallel parking in front of, or parking in front of that library that hasn't been parallel parking, and I agree that that is probably dangerous. Matter of fact, it is dangerous to back out into that road. I would like to see the town just go ahead and allow parallel parking in front of the library as it's been going on. There's been parking allowed in there since the library was there. And we'll just take our chances, I guess, but I don't see why we're going to give up 5 parking spaces that have been there basically for 120 years.
Well, the library's been there that long too, but we're changing that.
I can tell you that, first of all, the maximum number of spaces you can fit there is 4. As you go there. But what their concern was is the same as mine when you go and stand out there. Even parallel parking there, when you open up a door, you're off the white line maybe 5 or 6 inches tops. So therefore, people go into the other lane in order to make sure that someone has enough room to get in and out. Furthermore, as you're coming out of the library, like you go around the parish house and you're coming out, having even one vehicle here blocks your view to the point where you have to go out and actually be on or across the white line before you even know if you can go or not. Because we have a curve over here coming down, so you can't see up over the hill, and then you have a curve coming around, and then Park Ave coming in, or I'm not Park Ave, Church Ave coming in. So it's kind of the totality of all of that. If one of those things weren't there, or 2 of those things weren't there, it might be possible. But that's what every time we said, well, you can't see very far. Well, what if we only had 3 parking spots and we moved back? Oh, well, then we have a problem even more so because we're closer now to Church Ave. And what about, so we were out there for over an hour. I can tell you that I'm not trying to get less parking there. I will say that the parking spots in the library, most people park out front before those are filled. So if people want to back, I don't think that there'd be an issue as far as how many people can go in now. That's not to say once the project's done, obviously things will be different, but for now.
One of my concerns on that is the increase in car count in the last 5 years, 10 years. It's incredible on that road since all the apps have come out.
It is.
That alone is just is the it's a tipping point for me.
Yeah.
It's not 150 years ago. Too many
Right,
cars.
it's not.
But I've said that before.
And 35, looks,
The state says
it
no parking, you say no
sounds,
parking.
it sounds slow, but when you are there or backing out and there's an intersection coming in the crest, 35 ends up being kind of fast. Plus, we all know the people speed, so even if we give them 5 miles an hour, that's 40. So it just kind of compounds. But I understand the town can make whatever decision. That's just my recommendation.
Would the state be agreeable to lowering the speed limit to 25 from there up to the school?
No, they won't. We discussed that as well. It's very, in statute, the speeds are really very specific to certain kinds of towns and, whether there's a lot of residences and businesses and the roadway and stuff. So they won't reduce that speed there either.
Can I just add one thing?
Laura's up first.
I don't know if this is Laura Virgo, and I'm speaking as a individual resident. I live on 16 Caswell Drive. I don't know if this question has been posed before or not, so excuse me if it's already been discussed. In the past, when we had a farmer's market in town, there was parking allowed on both sides of the green on the mall. Now, obviously, the side of the mall that's closest to the school gets the most traffic. The side of the mall that is closer to the houses does not get a whole lot of traffic. Is there any chance that we could put painted parking there and encourage people to park there and maybe have a pedestrian crossway to be able to go to the library? It's not the same. It's not near as easy as having parking in front of the library, but it is another option. And the reason I'm bringing this forward is because I'd like to underline the fact that impervious surface is growing in the seacoast. It's growing in Greenland. PREP and the New Hampshire Stormwater Center have both said once you get over 10% impervious surface, you have a significant impact on your water quality. We're getting close to that. I would like to suggest that the town seriously look at maximizing its current use of impervious surface in town before thinking about adding impervious surfaces anyplace else. Now, I don't think that is particularly an issue here, but maximizing the current impervious surface that we've got is important. If we could maybe add some parking spots there on the residential side of the green.
Don.
I just wanted to make a comment. Don Miller, 511 Post Road, Greenland. When I come in off of 33 and I come up Portsmouth Ave and swing on the Post Road, that's posted 30 up until you get to Hobbsey's yard, and then it goes to 35. So if you're thinking it's 35, then they're not doing 30. That's for damn sure.
Well, we did do a traffic study for counting and getting speeds and stuff. And the average person on Post Road, now we're talking the whole length, is like 9 miles an hour over. So we have been spending more time on Post Road because of that. People are usually very good about slowing down at the school, at least during the school hours when we're out there before and after school. But beyond those school hours, it seems like people don't even recognize the school is there. And maybe it is because that people are cutting through and using Google Maps. And so they don't really, they're not a member of this town, so maybe they just don't care. But I see the same thing.
You're next.
Tony Jones, 19 Ridgecrest. Volunteer at the church and was on the board for a number of years. What I know is, you should put it in the equation, is when everybody comes to pick their kids up, that line goes all the way down, right?
Yes,
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like a wall. I'm trying to get in and out with the trash or whatever, trying to do my bit, and I can't get in there. They're just a wall of cars, and it stays that way for
10 minutes probably. And they're not supposed to.
They're parked right there waiting for their time slot.
Every time, right.
Yeah.
And we go up there, and that started this year because we're not allowing parents to go in to the school and pick up their kids and stuff. So the plan, that what they're supposed to be doing is they can line up right up until the entrance, until they meet 151. The next person is supposed to drive down on Park Street and be waiting on Park Street, obviously not parked because they're in it and it's running, and then it's supposed to go back. What we have is people who are, even after constant reminders, that do that, and some people go across Park Street. So yeah, that's an ongoing battle.
Tara, did a letter go out from the school telling them how to do that?
I think it's gone out twice or 3 times.
Yeah. Some parents probably don't pay attention. You know, they get the letter, oh yeah, another one from the school.
What I think is, honestly, parents are just in a rush and they want to pick up their kids, so they try and rush it. But, you know, we're up there every afternoon and morning, so sometimes we're running radar, sometimes we're talking to kids, and then other times we're out there yelling at parents. So just move. And
it's tough.
It is.
Wendy Stanley Jones, 19 Ridgecrest. So the Parish Hall, which is right next to the library, gets a lot of activity. You know, we've got Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. We also have a food pantry. And we have people who park right in front of the Parish Hall because they need to be able to come up either the steps or up the ramp, because that's about all they can walk. You know, some of them will go around the back if they can park there, because they like to go right down the back because that's their capabilities. But other times, all they can do is park in front of that Parish Hall to be able to make it in, and people help them get downstairs or help them get their food. So I hear what you're saying as far as 30's a little quick. Really don't like to see 35 there, but if you're taking that whole portion out for parking, you're not just impacting people who maybe are using the library. You're impacting a lot of other people, and not all of them are Greenland residents, but you're impacting some of our most needy that are coming in, and, you know, we as a community are trying to make a difference for them.
Well, we could be accountable.
Yeah, well, so they're driving in, right, and they park, and they're there for a while, because we don't have quite enough swing all the way around, right? So when you're making your decision, think about others that you're impacting, the unintended consequence.
Could there be a sign that we put up before the church and the library that warns cars that there is a constricted parking place there? It's not a sign you see all the time, but if we had a sign that said, watch for parked vehicles pulling out, something that lets your drivers know.
Yeah, that's a state road that we can't put signage like that.
So, where are we going?
I know, I totally understand it's difficult, and the parish house doesn't have any more priority than the library, or vice versa. It's really just about safety, and I'm sure that there's a solution, and we're just used to always having done it the same way. But when safety becomes an issue, obviously that's my job, is to represent safety. So
I'm going to ask one more time.
Sure.
How many accidents in the last 5 years have happened in front of the library?
I sent the letter to you guys specifically.
Right. 0, correct?
I don't feel comfortable answering that anymore, Jim, quite honestly. I sent you a letter because last time I had to go through 5.5 years of accidents exactly because you were unclear about what I was saying. I have no accidents that I can prove was a person who went to the library and was backing out from the library. Outside of that, we've had some very serious crashes in front of the library area. So unfortunately, it was only 9 years ago that Representative Tucker's daughter got hit directly in front of the library. But I didn't include that in my letter about connecting that to the library because she wasn't going to the library. She was getting out and going across the street from the library. So I don't feel comfortable shooting off the hip because I gave you exactly the accident numbers and exactly the accidents that had happened. I don't want to be misquoted or for anyone to think that I'm trying to sway somebody or any of that. Facts are facts. Yes, sir, Chester.
I think the area has become bad with the amount of traffic coming in. People heading, towards Northampton, off of Portsmouth Ave, people looking here, and it's not a stop, so it's a movement. There's a lot going on in that area, and it increases every day. And to me, it's like you said about safety. One fatality, one dismemberment, one real bad accident is all it takes.
And it shouldn't take that.
It shouldn't take that, exactly. And that's happened in this town too many times in the past.
Right.
Fatalities happen, and then we get streetlights, and then we get traffic.
Right.
It's
not anti-library. Perhaps there's something we could use at the school
not at
to
all.
get people or whatever we happen to try and use. But it's just a matter of getting people in and out of there safely.
I think it's time to be proactive at it. That's all.
Can I mention the fact that somebody wants to put a sign up there, put parking at the school, rather than put parallel parking or in-head parking or whatever, because this will wipe our hands clean from the state.
Yes.
And it took a little bit of my thunder. If and when the library is constructed, the vast majority of the parking for the patrons, that whether they're there for a conference or to have their children downstairs or whatever upstairs, is going to have to be at the school. Because as we've seen by looking at the drawings, there isn't enough parking on school grounds. And it seems, based on what I just heard, taking the parking from the parish house is probably not feasible. So it might be time to begin to train the people that go to the library to park at the school, which is where they're going to have to be when the expansion is done.
Can I say one positive thing? Thank you for Purple. You saw him out there.
Oh, yes.
Patrolling and stopping. I wanted to stop and hug him, but I
Every
couldn't
day.
get arrested.
Don't hug anyone.
You're not supposed to. Hug him, thank you. That's right.
Yes. He's great. He's up there every
He's
morning.
doing it every morning.
Oh, absolutely.
No parking. Okay, we baked up horse to death.
Oh, we got nothing. Okay, we're gonna move on. Road update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have an update on the roads through Colony Hayden that's included, as well as the 5-year plan in your packets. We have a quote from Barassa Construction for Bayside Road, a shim and overlay for reclaim, and the transfer station exit. Paul and I sat in on a pre-construction meeting with Underwood Engineering regarding Water's Edge, and notes from that meeting are included. Paul is also here and able to speak to the board in the 5-year plan and what has and hasn't been done, largely due to budget constraints and budgeting issues over the last several years. So,
What you need to know.
Road budget's $180,000 according to what was presented to the town. I got Portsmouth Ave. What's that all about? I know
That's just an overlay.
we're on Portsmouth Ave.
It's going to be this side out front here to the stop sign. From that stop sign up to the state intersection.
Okay. And Ann Lane's, I'm assuming, is an overlay also.
Pardon me?
Ann's Lane is an overlay,
Yes.
Yep.
and Alden Ave's an overlay.
Yep.
I don't see Alden Ave on.
I don't see any of it on this. That's why I'm asking.
No,
Are we running behind? Is this from the
We are so far behind. If you would have, we paid that Underwood Engineering to give us a 10-year plan, all that money, and we've been behind since the very first year. if you read the report says we should invest $500,000 every year to get our roads up for those 10 years, and then it should come back down. Then that doesn't include like the reconstruction of Bayside Road. We've already done 2 reconstructions since this report. And I mean, we have not even completed the first year and a half, and we're 3 years into it.
We're going to steal some thunder. We as a board are going to make some decisions as far as the budget goes. We're $13,000 in the hole in snow plowing, and we still got another half a year to go. I'm going to make a recommendation. We have a work session next Monday. Let's sit down and look into this budget and see where we can come up with money.
I'm not available, sorry. Myrtle Beach.
That way we can know where we stand and know what we can steal. Because we got the problem out here, the top road.
We're gonna have.
All right, there's another problem. We've been finding out a lot of stuff wasn't done. Like that was authorized to be done last year, didn't get done because of weather and all that. She never encumbered the money, so that's gone. And we had it all set. We had the money and everything. That's why all the jobs didn't get done. We're getting burnt on a lot of things that didn't happen that said was going to happen.
No, we start moving forward, 1 foot at a time.
Yeah. I mean, to me, the transfer roads is a no-brainer. That's got to be done. It's coming apart. That's one of the busiest roads in town, twice a week.
You got that quote in here, don't you?
Yeah. Yes.
And if I understand right, the ceiling of that
is
part of it.
I've been trying to get Gary Barasser in here. I've left him 2 messages, has not returned my phone call in a week. That was a bad paved job. Right from the start, Timmy said they were going to take care of it last year. And actually, if you look at Tuttle Lane at 33 is terrible. Same paved job, same time. And they said they were going to take care of it, and they haven't.
Plus, they also sealed over the old hot top out here, correct?
What do you mean sealed over?
They
You
paved
mean
over
overlay?
it? Yeah.
Yeah, they did an overlay over the parking lot, yes.
So you're going to get all the cracks through that hot top reflect back up into the new stuff.
Yep.
That was a bad decision. Should have ripped it up, started over.
What it should have.
But that's, can't do nothing about it now.
Right. Nope.
So, does Monday sound good to take about an hour and beat that up?
I'm not available, I'm sorry.
Keep rubbing it in.
I'm back,
Put some
I'm
TSA
back
picture.
Wednesday at like 2 in the morning. So. Thursday, I can do Thursday, Friday. Sorry.
Oh, what's everybody else doing?
You guys can do it.
I'm fine on Monday.
But you,
Yep,
Steve?
fine. Yep, Monday's good.
I can call in.
We'll do it Monday.
I can video it or whatever.
Is Liz gonna be involved in this too, Chip?
What?
I have
Is
to.
Liz coming in?
I don't want to
If
miss
she's
it.
available, I think I was told she has some ideas.
I have several ideas, probably, that's what we don't want to hear.
Wow.
I do.
You're gonna have trouble, I'm trying to get you your expense report, but I had to start all over. Paul mentioned things that once were that cannot be found. That Excel spreadsheet seems to have disappeared, as my niece used to call it. So I'm recreating it, which is a little bit difficult. And in the process of doing that, I looked at your budget. Your budget's thin.
Yeah.
You're going to have trouble finding what you want by just cutting a little bit here and a little bit there, because there isn't a little bit here and a little bit there. For your future, there is a possibility that you could put a warrant article that allows you up to 2% contingency of your budget that you might want to consider in the future. But that's next year. What you might want to do, and you can be thinking of this as you're doing it, you have a capital reserve fund that has money in two different places. One place is the $2.50 you get every time you register a vehicle, and the other is what you've been putting aside in warrant articles. One of them is a little bit less flexible, the one that's $2.50 than the other, but if you can show that it affects transportation, which the Tuttle place would, you probably could in terms of the transfer station, because there's a lot of public things that go across there, your companies that come in and out to do that. You might be able to take some money from that. But your main one is the capital reserve fund for your paving. If you transfer the money that's currently in your paving budget to fill in some of these gaps, you could backfill from your capital reserve fund. Really great idea, except, and it's huge except, capital, bold, and double underline. Your Bayside redoing is gone, because that's where a lot of the money has been stockpiled in there to do that, and it wouldn't be there anymore. But you don't have big places where you can pull, 25,000 here and 25,000 there. It's just not there. It's probably one of the slenderest budgets I've ever seen from the town. When you start looking at it, an extra $50 here and there isn't going to kill you, but you've got more than that. You may even have to consider changing how you plow. But that's, again, those are the big issues you're going to have to deal with. I hope I can be there. I don't know if I can be there. If I can, I will.
What time is it? 7 o'clock, good? Okay. Gives everybody plenty of time. All right. Continuing right along. Town Hall parking lot repair.
We were just talking about the paving job that was done out there in the fall. We have a quote, $1440 from ABS Silco to repair the cracks in those parking lots, including the Town Hall, Fire Department, and Police Department, and the paved area at the transfer station. These cracks happened after the areas were paved in November 2017 by Barassa Construction. As Paul mentioned, he's still waiting to hear back from Barassa Construction, so I would encourage the board to postpone a vote on whether or not to accept repair of the cracks, as Barassa has indicated in the past they would make good on it. So,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to table this until we come back further.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good enough. Next, we have the cancer cluster appointment.
I received a call from D.C. Bates, the committee researcher at the New Hampshire House of Representatives, regarding the town's representation on the Seacoast Cancer Cluster Commission. We're looking for someone to apply. Marie Emery was previously appointed by the board in September 2018. However, she has indicated that she is tied up with a number of other things and cannot attend the meetings due to her schedule, and encourages the town to find a replacement. We've received some interest from other people recommending individuals, but we have not received any direct applications from those individuals at this point. So again, I would suggest you postpone until you have such applications.
Okay, we have other old business.
I had a couple of things. One was I guess we've got part of it, is the discussion last week, meeting about the ball field and such. Did a water person, engineer, get out there and take a look at that?
We have a quote for what it would cost to have that done. If I may, we have a Maloney Field update in the FYI section. I'll refer you to that. Section 5 of the FYI. Jim met with Eric Weinreb from Altus Engineering and Evan Lewis from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services about proposed updates at the Maloney Field. And after that, he also contacted the Rockingham County Conservation District. I have for you here tonight, because he was not able to clearly identify whether or not there was wetland there, although he implied that it might be present. He encouraged the town, should it want to move forward. I have a copy for each of you on an estimate of what it would cost to have a soil scientist go out there and do an evaluation. Now, if there were wetlands found, this does not include the surveying costs that would be involved as well. This is just for them to go out there and determine if there are wetlands in the area where the proposed multi-purpose field is. And you also see in there a letter from Jim on the field that basically states that.
Well,
and then one other concern again remains parking. So.
I think the $475 is a pretty inexpensive price to find out yay or nay. I don't know where it would come from, which line.
Come on, right?
Okay.
Because they're the ones that want the area filled in.
Yeah, this would go to cost of the field, and they want to pay, they put the money for that, they say so.
So yeah, that's we refer that to them and let them make that decision.
I was going to say, you have rec funds in your budget.
Right.
Are you saying it would come out of the general fund rec lines, or would it come out of the rec revolving? Just to clarify, because I don't know which. I was out.
The rec revolving fund is under the
Total
recommendation and guidance of the
right. They're
rec
the only
committee,
ones that
so
can spend from.
you would need to forward that.
So,
Yeah, that's
what I would say.
This is your next step.
See, they don't want to go forward.
That's how I see it going.
So
That's what we need to
it
do
would be
next.
my recommendation that we hand this to the rec committee, and if they want to move forward, that they pay the bill and do it.
Right, but, yeah, that's fine.
So this would need to be approved by the rec committee if it's going to come out of the revolving fund.
Yes, and then we can make it happen as a town.
Will you contact Sharon? And,
Yes, I'll let her know.
Yeah. And take it from there.
Okay, anybody else got any old business? I have one, it's just a little housekeeping thing. We, continuing on with the engineering of the fire station, but the committee technically dissolves after the vote of the town meeting. So I'm going to move to appoint Steve Smith, Richard Huzzy to the building, fire station building committee to take the place of the two selectmen that are on there. Also appointing Ralph Cresta, Dennis Cody, Don Miller, Dennis Malloy, and Bob Krasko again.
So what?
That's a motion.
For what?
The fire station building committee,
Why do we need that?
because they still got work to do.
Isn't that project done? Didn't
No.
get passed by the vote. Why would we have a committee?
Because
it's
we're looking at
done. The town voted no. Why do we need a committee? Sir?
Go ahead, Don.
Town voted no on that article for this year. That does not mean that the need goes away. Okay? And it would be.
In your opinion, in the opinion of the vote, wasn't needed as much, so.
I guess.
I mean, that's.
If I may, if I may.
Just to let him finish.
What I'm saying, is that?
Yeah, just let him finish.
Okay. The Board of Selectmen hired MRI to come in and do a survey. Okay? And they presented a survey, and the Board of Selectmen decided, because of that survey, there was a need. You may not have, but the rest of the board.
I was there.
Okay. And that's what I'm saying, is that it's up to this board to reappoint a committee to continue on with this if the need exists. If the board does not feel a need exists for a fire station, then vote down the committee.
All right, so that was my only question. Why do we need this?
I
haven't got an answer.
The need for a fire station has not gone away just because the town did not want to spend the money. The town doesn't decide the need, they decide how to spend the money for the need. Okay. That's my opinion.
I think.
I'm sorry, my name's Donald Miller, 511 Post Road.
Thank you, Don.
Now it doesn't recognize my voice.
I need a second to continue.
for the sake of discussion, I'll second.
Okay. What a lot of the people were looking at was the fact that we'll be retiring a couple bonds here in the next 3 to 6 years in that time period, 3 to 5 years. And it was during that process that the bonds retired, they felt it'd be much more appropriate to put another bond in place for a fire station. We have the engineering won't really change. The building, the only thing I have says I really wasn't in favor of seeing them buy any more property. So if they move it over closer to this building here, they should be fine to fit the fourth bay on. So instead of building it kind of, I refer to as half-assed, let's go for the whole thing and do it right. And keep a flat tax bill along with it. That's my personal opinion of why I didn't support the fire station. It's not that it isn't a good idea, it's just I felt the taxes have taken some huge hits, and they're going to take another one this year. And if we keep spiking, it's just pricing people out. So I wanted to kind of keep it flatter, and that's why I wasn't in favor of it at this time. At least we retire one of the bonds. Any other discussion?
Is there a budget for that committee?
Yes, they have the encumbered funds from the...
Do we know what's left in it?
Is this the $75,000 fund that you're referring to? At our last meeting, we brought that forward, indicating that we had $37,300 for civil engineering.
Yeah, you have structural
Correct.
and you
And
have
structural was
engineering.
$17,000.
Yeah, I went down 4. That's all right.
And at our last meeting, it was voted 4-1 to continue with the civil engineering and structural engineering for the proposed fire station. So I guess the question is, do you think the building committee would be helpful in directing the civil engineering and structural engineering for the proposed fire station as voted at last meeting to continue with, or who would you like to direct the engineers, if not? So.
The other problem is we can only encumber the funds for this year. Next year they're gone if we don't use them. This isn't something you just keep rolling over and encumbering. It's got to be spent this year. Any other discussion?
It can only be spent for the...
Oh, for the fire station, no, we can't. It can't be transferred to like the rec field or anything like that.
So, we've got it.
And because we have to.
Well, I believe the idea was to complete the engineering work so that at some point in the future, you know, when the town feels appropriate, that you'll have the design in place for the warrant.
Yes, Liz.
Fed routes here. One of the things that the federal government does periodically is it sets up projects that they're willing to give you money if you have, and President Obama was not the only one that used this phrase, shovel ready. Shovel ready just means the project's ready to go. It's designed, it's ready to go. Perhaps during this time frame that you're working on it, there may be a change in the atmosphere, and you may have possibility of federal funds since it is a first responder type of an area. And if you have a shovel-ready project, it may be a little bit ahead of something else. We did that in the procurement side of the house that I worked on, both at Pease before it closed and at the shipyard, because they were shovel-ready. Just a thought to add to your thought processes.
You're absolutely right, because you do get more points if you're shovel ready.
Yeah.
Any other comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
You abstain, Jim? Yeah. Okay. Moving right along. Family First buses.
There have been some concerns raised about the Family First buses parking at the maintenance building. As you know, there are currently two buses that park there, and and they were given permission by the selectmen in 2009 to park the buses at the maintenance building with the understanding that they would pay for the electricity used there. And that was brought to the board again in 2016. The electric bill from November 2014 through February 2015 was $1,549.69. Family First paid $600 of that, and that was the last payment received from Family First. The electric bill from November 2018 through February 2019 was $1,553.40. And when the buses are not plugged in during the winter months, the electric bill for the maintenance building is, during the summer, approximately $150. So we are not currently getting reimbursed for the electricity they use, but we are also not currently billing them for the electricity that they use. So I know there's been interest in using those parking spots by the town. However, when this was first established, Families First did pay for the hookup. There's not a separate meter there. There's only one meter, and that makes it a little more challenging to try to determine what their share of that electric bill should be, which may be why the town stopped billing Families First. However, going forward, I'd like direction as to whether or not we should require a separate meter for the buses and have the bill sent directly to Families First, or if this is sort of an in-kind donation that the town is making to Families First for their services to the area.
Do they service Greenland?
No. I did not see anything about Greenland being serviced on their website. However, it's possible that residents are going to the locations where the buses are parked for dental service or other healthcare options that are offered.
Yes, Jim.
So Greenland residents may be benefiting.
Yeah, I know of at least one gentleman who goes in and gets dental work done.
Good, good.
But,
I'm just curious. I mean,
they're a good organization, but they made an agreement that they were going to pay for the electricity, and I feel that we should have a separate meter installed and the bill sent directly to them. We are giving them free parking. All they're paying for is the electricity, which they're going to have to pay for wherever they are unless they get a daddy Warbucks to take care of it for them.
where did the concerns get raised from? Residents or?
The concerns were regarding the parking.
Right, concerns have been raised. Who raised the concerns?
Paul and the fire department have both, Chief Cresta have indicated that they'd be interested in using the spaces for parking, trailers and equipment, etc.
All right, so
in the overhang,
more than just the electric bills on this that we're talking about.
It would benefit the town as far as having vehicles there being undercover.
Or
that's the two spots are both under an overhang, so they're sheltered to some degree from the weather.
So are we talking about getting, saying, thank you, but
that's one option the town has.
Our agreement is terminated? Is that the goal of this? I'm asking.
The goal was to either, from the reason I brought it up to the board was to seek direction as to whether or not, A, the town would like the buses to still park there, and B, whether or not the town would like us to install another meter.
If they do stay,
if they stay,
this is what we need.
So it's a two component.
Yes, Paul.
This came up this year. Ralph approached me to using one of the sides for the fire trailer because it has to be plugged in.
Yep.
And that's undercover too. And he was trying to do that. Unfortunately, during the winter, we lose both sides of the building because there's only one plug on each side they can plug into. And that's how this all started.
Is there room to park his trailer over there if we were to install another plug-in?
That means one of the buses would have to be out in the weather. I mean, you can only get one bus or one trailer or two buses.
Okay.
Undercover.
I mean, we're growing as a town. We're going to need this.
And that was another thing.
I personally agree with Jim. It's a good organization that does help people out. I think we got to lean towards them paying for electricity and suggest they put their own meters in for now.
Yeah, maybe word it something like, this is what it's gonna take to continue the parking arrangement here. If you're gonna have to pay for meters and be, meter installed, another outlet, whatever has to happen, they're gonna need to come up with the money, and then, I don't know, if we eat these and other numbers and start from there, or try to get some back pay, or what, but, and if they don't wanna do that, then maybe it's time to move on, and we'll take over the space for ourselves. Kind of leave the ball in their court. I don't want to yank their parking spots from them. I mean, they're a great organization. I'm not trying to do that, but it's gonna be good for both sides.
Okay, when the RVs come in the cold weather.
No, I'm talking about the fire department trailer. Once you get in, it has to be plugged in.
It's plugged in 24/7. I don't know. I've never been on it. Ricky, do you know what's in there?
Well, there's different equipment that's got batteries and stuff. That's why he charges it.
Yeah, I think it's just battery chargers alike, but.
So what did he do this past winter?
He ran an extension cord across the parking lot wherever it was parked.
That's not good.
It was in the one section of the highway shed
Yeah,
for a while, but it got
moved out of there
rearranged
at one
over there.
point, yeah.
I personally would say we see what Family First wants to do and take it from there.
Yeah, give it, this is, I mean, you wanna keep arguing?
Send them a kindly worded letter.
Yeah.
Can I add this, Chip?
Yes.
Do they produce their insurance to the town every year?
I couldn't answer that.
Well, the reason why I say that is you gotta know if they're insured, because if something happens to them and they try to blame us, we're looking at repercussions, even though we're being generous a little bit.
I don't know what they.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah, I don't know what they set up when they approached the town back then on the park. If you remember when it first started, it was like a little straight job, and it was called Helen or something like that.
It was Helen.
And well, that happens to be the woman's name that started it.
Oh yeah,
in March.
But what was agreed upon, I don't know.
That sounds good to me. Put in an outlet, you can park it if you don't.
I think it might be best if you made a phone call directly to the director over there, rather than send a letter.
Okay.
Just explain what we'd like to see happen.
Yeah, and my understanding is you're looking for insurance for liability reasons, and you'd like them to pay for the meter.
Which they agreed to in the past.
And forgive the back.
Yeah,
pay, because the town didn't, I think the town had a responsibility to keep up with the billing that they failed to do, so, this, I don't think this is the responsibility of Family First to say, hey, you didn't send us a bill. If we didn't send them a bill, that's on us.
Give me a bill unless it's issued, so.
Right. So I would just look at going
I
forward.
do have
Going forward,
exactly. One's being used. So, I mean, it won't be an expensive thing to put a sub panel in, just move their two wires to the sub panel and tie it into a meter.
All right, let's move right along.
Yes.
Town's IT specialist.
We've been notified that by our IT specialist, Doug Poulin, that he will be discontinuing SwiftTide Technologies as of June 30th, 2019. And he currently is the IT specialist for the police, fire, as well as the town hall. And currently he's putting together a list of possible other firms that might be interested and available. I would encourage the town to develop an RFP. I'm asking him if he'll help me draft an RFP based on what he does, give me thoughts to it. And I also asked if the services that he provides the police department are similar. They're apparently not, so I don't think we should try to piggyback off the police department's RFP for an IT provider because our needs are so distinct and separate. So I would ask that you allow us to develop an RFP for information technology consulting services.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yeah.
I move that the town administrator be allowed to develop an RFP or RFPs for the two police, fire, and for the town.
I'm sorry, just for the town.
Just for the town.
Okay. Ralphie's got something to do with his fire?
I think fire will piggyback off our IT, so it'll be You could include fire if you want. Essentially, it's the same.
Town and fire, and then the police are separate.
Yes. Yeah, I believe they would be better served by targeting a different skill set than we need here.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving right along, solar exemptions.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we have several here for you to review. All have been issued building permits. I have a total of 6, and April 15th is the deadline to apply for this tax year. So, do you have those on your list?
Yeah.
Too? Okay.
Yeah.
So, if you want to make one motion to all of them, that would be, we can do it that way too.
Just do one.
Just do one to be easier.
I'll make a motion that we approve the solar exemptions for the following. Let's list them.
Yeah, go ahead and just read them all.
19 Cushman Way, 21 Cushman Way, 14 Nantucket Place, 2 Orchard Hill, 100 Winnicott Road, and 52 Vardon Lane.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All have it.
I'll be passing this around if you want to just sign by the sticky notes.
Okay, next is the current use tax.
Yeah, we have a new home being built at 51 Great Bay Road that qualifies for the current use tax, which is calculated to be $15,000. We just need a motion for that.
I move to approve the current use tax for the property located at 51 Great Bay Road in the amount of $15,000.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
This document will have 2 places to sign. I'm going to give you a minute to catch up before I pass this on down.
No, American Idol's on.
What about the Bruins? Are they on tonight?
Looks like Sox lost today. They always lose on the marathon. You run the marathon today?
Notes?
No.
Just got back.
You guys are working good.
Yeah. That's crazy. I did a half once.
I don't want to drive 26 miles, let alone run. We finished in 5 hours and 43 minutes.
I can't imagine. I did a half and I trained hard. And I almost didn't finish. You don't have to train really hard. You need a lot of time to get ready for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, folks.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Solar powered.
Good thing I brought 3 pens and run out of ink.
Somebody check see if there's any out of ink yet.
What are we looking at next?
Current use tax.
Anybody get any other new business?
I do. So Matt's given us all these guidelines for public comment in local government. I'd ask all you guys to read over them and see what you think and bring it up at the next meeting and try to build some of this into our meetings. Touches on time, public speaking, behavioral expectations, everything. Give a little bit more structure to the meeting possibly. Just so clear information. I'm going to have it on the agenda next week, next meeting. This is the current use.
Any other new business? All right, we got manifest.
Yeah, entertain a motion to accept the capital fund library accounts payable. You've already signed it, but just to make it formal.
We hereby approve the attached manifest unpaid bills details as of April 18, 2019 in the amount of.
Thank you.
Okay, $4,779.94.
This is that one, yes. Okay.
And that's to come out of the bond proceeds.
Second. Very good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Capital fund.
Hereby approve the attached payroll number 08, pay date April 18, 2019, period April 1st, 2019 through and including April 14, 2019, the amount, gross amount, excluding payroll liabilities, $58,138.81. Second?
Second.
Seconded by Steve.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And general funds accounts payable. Going around.
Catch your breath.
I move that we approve the attached manifest of unpaid bills detail as of April 28, 2019, in the amount of $310,477.51. This manifest includes a Greenland School District payment of $180,000.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, we're gonna, next on our agenda is a non-public.
Recording excerpted.